Well, thank you for joining us today on the Big Blue Podcast. I'm Greg Stone, Metro Campus Provost, here as always with President Leigh Goodson. How are you, Dr. Goodson?
I'm doing great, Dr. Stone. How are you?
I am doing really well because we are here. We're recording at Owasso today on Convocation Day, so this will play relatively soon. And we are here with our keynote speaker from today, Dr. Michael Baston. Welcome. Thank you so much for not only coming to Tulsa, but for spending a few minutes to sit down with us today.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a glorious day here at Tulsa Community College.
Well, and you're wearing paisley, which is my favorite kind of tie, so I have to comment on that. No one seems to wear paisley much anymore. So you have only recently been in your role as president at Rockland just since, I believe, July of last year, if my research is correct. What has that first year been like for you and your family as president of Rockland Community College in New York?
The first year has been a true whirlwind of great events and opportunities for me to meet not only the people on the campus, but the community that we now live in and work in. We have had an opportunity to meet with our elected officials, our school board educators, the business and industry community, our nonprofits. And we've spent a tremendous amount of time talking to and sharing time with faculty, students, and staff. So it's been a great first year.
And what's your student population like? You're in New York?
Yes, we're about 25 miles from New York City in Rockland County. We're the smallest county in the state of New York, but we've got the biggest heart. And I believe that we are certainly making great strides in helping our region, which is the Hudson Valley region of New York, to prosper economically. I serve about 10,000 students at the college. And those students are both in the credit programs, but also in our non-degree programs. We have several locations, one in working on automotive technology, one where we have our business incubators and our 3D printing in that area. We are opening up one in an up-and-coming community, Nyack, New York, which will be our culinary arts and hospitality center, a brand new building that'll have a live a teaching kitchen. It'll have an auditorium where they'll be able to come and really take a look at some of the work that we're doing there. So it's a very, very wonderful college servicing not just our county, but surrounding counties as well.
And this isn't your first career, right?
No.
You started out as a public interest lawyer and represented both educational and social justice issues and organizations. So there was a recent article in the New York Amsterdam News. You called your approach to helping students reach their highest potential purpose-driven education. And it reminds me of that book, Purpose-Driven Life, yes, right? Yes. And so what is purpose-driven education, and how does it reveal itself in your work?
In the community college, part of what I believe our role is to help our students find their purpose. And that exploration process, that narrowing the sort of pathway to move in a direction that will enable them to develop the necessary passion to be sort of expert in a field is very important. So we believe that in the community college space, while so many have said it has derided us a bit by saying we're the 13th grade or the place you go where you don't know where you want to go, no, we are the place of possibility. We are the place where the exploration allows a student to really define their goals and to really live with purpose. That purpose drives their educational pursuit. And when they finish with us, we will call them Rockland ready, real world ready, that they will pursue the next steps with passion.
So, President Baston, you also, in addition to spending so much time and your own passion, making your own students Rockland ready, you're also a Pathways coach.
Yes. And
work with schools across the country. And I'm just wondering if you could maybe share with us, what are the successes that you see in that role, and some of the challenges, because certainly we're starting to see some early successes, as President Goodson mentioned this morning. We're already seeing some really good early indicators of success. We still probably have a few years to go before we really start seeing the big turnaround, but But just to sort of give us a sense of where we are in terms of other schools, what are you seeing out there just as a Pathways coach?
The schools that are most successful with Pathways understand that refining the student experience is only one experience that needs to be refined. The schools that are successful also understand that the employee experience also has to be refined. How we onboard new employees, how we select new employees to make sure that they have, when they come into our institution, an understanding that we help to focus on relentless clarity for our students and their experience. The kinds of folks that we bring in onboarding then have to be appropriately brought into that first year of their experience in the workplace at the campus. And what does that look like? To what extent do we partner new employees with more senior employees that are forward-thinking and those who are really making the most successful strides for students, that we monitor their progress to make sure that there are pathways of opportunities for employees, and that when they finish, they can look back at a legacy of good contribution to the college. So in addition to constructing clear pathways for our students, the schools that also think deeply about how they construct pathways for their employees are actually participating in true redesign that produces great results. When I look at the work that's being done here at TCC, clearly there has been some refinement in the student experience that is inuring to the benefit of your students. But I also see a real engaged effort to make the faculty and staff a part of their process of their own development. The fact that you devote this professional development day is a real way to say to faculty and staff, we value the importance of your continued professional development. The fact that you start off the year by giving awards based on the different kinds of things that people have done, contributions that they have made to the college, these are key indicators of institutional success that are often overlooked and often understated. But I can tell you that the schools in the Pathways work that really focus both on the student experience as well as the employee experience actually have some of the best success.
To your point earlier, it's having purpose-driven education for employees,
Yes.
faculty and staff, as well as for students. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Leigh Goodson, here with my co-host, Dr. Greg Stone, and you're listening to the Big Blue Podcast. Our guest today is Dr. Michael Baston, and we've been talking about his role as a community college president and the impact of his leadership in higher education. We're so excited to have you here, Dr. Baston, and I'm hoping that we can send this podcast to our friends in the Aspen Institute and see what they can do with it. Don't you
I
think?
would love for our brothers and sisters in Aspen to be able to hear all the good things that are happening at TCC. And I think one of the nice things about being in the Aspen Institute, we've developed these relationships and we support each other and nudge each other forward, and we make each other strong. So I'm so happy to be with you,
Absolutely.
President.
Yeah, likewise. Well, you have a reputation, which was part of the reason we invited you today. You know, people were like, okay, we've never met Michael Baston. A few of you had, a few of our teams have, because you were at the Pathways Institutes, right, that we attended, all 6 of them. But I said, well, it's going to be like a revival. So think revival, and you'll know what I'm talking about. And you delivered. So we really appreciate that today. But you're known for your enthusiasm and motivation when it comes to the work of community colleges, and we're all so invested in it. When you're working with an institution on the Pathways implementation, or when you're visiting colleges, what are the top 2 or 3 takeaways that you try to make sure you leave with those faculty and staff to motivate and inspire them to keep doing this work? Because it is long work, right? We hear David Armstrong, Sandy Shugart, Brenda Hillier at San Jack, all of these various, I think of, some of our partners, even at Lorraine, Marcia Ballinger, who was the CAO at Lorraine before she became the president, they've been working on this for 15, 20, 25 years. So to keep folks motivated, what do you want to make sure that they leave with?
Well, I think there are 2 things that are important to me whenever I leave a campus, is that I like them to be thinking about the GPA. not the grade point average, but the goals, the plans, and the actions. Any person at the campus can ask the student what their goal is, what their plan is, and what actions that they are taking to make that move forward. I think that if we are able to get everyone in campus to ask the students about that GPA, it will allow the students to feel like they matter, like they belong, like people care, and I want them to get what I call pronoia. Paranoia is the sneaky suspicion that everybody's out to get you, but pronoia is the sneaky suspicion everybody's trying to help you. And I want all of our students to feel like, oh my goodness,
They're
everywhere
all
I
trying
go,
to help
everybody's
me.
trying to help me. They're helping me. So I think that's number one, what I want like people to walk away when I leave a campus. But number two is hope. I would like institutions to understand that they're not in this work by themselves, that everyone is in different places, but that the fact that they're at the table and that they're engaged and that they're willing to take some risks, that they are making the right decision, and that they should not let the good be the enemy of the good. I think oftentimes we think if we're not, at the top flight on day one, that there's something wrong with us. But I have to tell you that this work of transformation is done in phases, stages, and steps. There is no microwave. There is no sort of easy, quick. This is not the easy bake oven where you can just kind of like get your little ingredients and plop it in, and all of a sudden you're going to have this great nasty cake. Just kidding.
It's like a slow cooker.
Yes. But all well worth the wait.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I love that.
One thing that's not by any means slow is how quickly technology is changing, how quickly workforce needs are changing, and in some ways, how quickly society seems to be changing in terms of how we, even as Americans, relate to our fundamental institutions. So this is something of an unfair question, but if you had a magic crystal ball to look into to see the future, what are some things that community colleges need to be doing today to make sure that we're prepared and relevant for a decade from now?
I think the level of engagement with our business and industry partners have to be a much more pronounced sort of effort. We need to understand what the workforce will require based on how the workforce is currently integrating artificial intelligence. To what extent will we have robots replace some of the work we've done? And to what extent do we have to prepare a community of learners to work alongside robots? To what extent are there opportunities that automation will not be able to address? So there are some opportunities that we need to look at that are areas of growth that we've got to be in tune to with academic programs. Where academic programs are not relevant, you will not have the ability to survive under the weight of a former education system that allowed you to kind of just roll along, roll over schedules and things of that nature. For example, in healthcare, there are really good paying jobs in the healthcare industry right now that they don't have enough workers to actually handle. I saw in one of the trade magazines today about the area of aviation, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to be able to get enough workers to work in these areas. We will one day move from the commercial jets we know today to more of what you see in the Jetsons of our youth. We're not going to be Flintstones forever. And so we've got to be thinking about whether our educational programs are relevant to the needs as they continue to emerge. And if we're not in good partnership with our business and industry friends, we're not going to be responsive. That means they also have to participate in not just advisory boards that have no real meaning, but that they are partners in helping us to co-develop some educational programs that meet the needs as identified in many instances by the human resources departments.
So this This show's called The Big Blue Podcast. And at the end of the show, we have the big question.
Ooh.
And we ask every guest this big question. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
I'm going to get in trouble with my liberal arts folks, but...
Well, you don't have to send them the link. You could exclude them from the link.
Don't major in political science.
Hey, I majored in political science.
Well, when I graduated, if I didn't go to law school,
Yeah.
and you open, at that time, there was no Indeed and Monster and all this stuff. So you go to the New York Times and you go to the classified section, and I was scrolling down the P's, and there was no jobs in political science. But I would say to my 18-year-old self, find your purpose. Find your purpose and pursue that as your academic mission. Find your purpose. Thankfully, I always kind of knew I was going to go to law school, and I did. So in my case, I did. But I probably would have done something from an academic, pursuit a little differently. I might have done economics or something else. I would have did something. I wouldn't have did political science.
Well, whether it's political science or economics, you want to find your purpose. You have to have a plan,
Yes.
and you have to have more than one plan. Because I was supposed to go to law school, and then I changed my mind.
Yes.
And it's worked out.
I think so.
Yeah, it's worked out for both of us. But
Absolutely.
you're right. You want to have a plan. And so if you're going to go get a liberal arts degree, you want to know what you're going to pair that with to leverage all that deep thinking that you have the capacity for now. So, yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Well, you've been listening to the Big Blue Podcast. We want to thank our guest, Dr. Michael Baston, who's in town for convocation, for spending some time with us today. And we want to thank you for listening as well. Remember, you can catch us each week in the week at TCC and on the Creativity channel on YouTube. President Baston, President Goodson, thank you both for your time.
Thank you.